Hey guys, today I'm here to do a book review, and that is for Godsgrave by J. Christoph. I actually never did a book review for Nevernight. I thought I did, but it was Illuminate, which is partially written by this author, so this is a bit weird. Can you see this? Like, my book, every time I read them, they get really crooked at this end here. Just too much wear and tear of trying to read this book as quick as I can, but I never did a book review for the first one because I don't know, like, yeah, I never did a book review for the first one, so I'm going to be starting my book reviews with the second one here because it was so good and I just really want to talk about it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, even though it was a little bit hard to get into, and overall the book can be quite dense. So it feels very thick when you're getting through it, and I definitely think that I was rereading a lot of pages and things were just not like really connecting, and really had to be in the right mind frame to like continue to read it. But overall I really enjoyed it and I can't wait to talk about it. There will be spoilers in this video because I want to talk about a few things, because like the last 20 pages are quite hectic. Things were happening, and yeah, I'm just really happy to do this. I really did like Nevernight and the whole idea of having this like assassin school and learning about all these characters, and it was kind of bloody, kind of smutty, kind of everything. But this book felt so different. Like, it feels like it could have been a companion novel. Like, Nevernight was just so like really was different. Like, there was definitely more blood and more gore and more death and more ickiness in this book, and then a lot more sexual scenes and a lot more everything in this book. Like, it was a very different atmosphere, and again, it was sort of like, with it being more Roman feeling and actually having like this sort of gladiator competition, it still felt kind of the same though, when you're getting to learn how to fight more and to do more things and to make friendships. But I liked the whole idea of this book being like real gladiatorial, and the world building was done a lot more, even though like with the footnotes, I really feel disconnected from the story when I read them though, because it's like I'm really getting into it, then I have to stop and read this heck long footnote and then come back into it, and I really didn't remember much from what I read of the footnotes, because it's like it's world building, but I was still like, what even am I reading? I was very confused for quite a lot of it. But overall I think it did build the world quite well and build up the characters and the history of the book. But yes, I'm saying I really liked the whole idea of the plot and how it was really to like assassinate the dude. So many names, and something I really like about this book is it gave you like a little bit of a like, told you what everyone's been up to and who the characters are and what they're doing. So when I get his name, Julius Scaver, and then it's Francis Dumo. So Julius and Francesco. Julius. But yeah, so the whole point of this book is to murder these two guys, and Mia is there in this gladiatorial tournament because like the only way that she can kill them at the same time without having the trinity of something on there, because it can hurt her and have them together, is if she wins this gladiatorial contest. So she has to win like 4 battles and then kill everyone and then get in there and win this competition, and then once she wins and gets crowned, she's going to murder these 2 people. And it's really interesting too because this book starts prior to the Red Church ending and all that like bloodiness at the end of that book, and then 4 months after that. So it's kind of like you got 2 things happening, or it's like Mia's there killing people, and then she's got her starting in the gladiatorial contest, and then you sort of see it start to link up of how she meets Ashlyn again, and then she's got Mercurio helping her, and then she figures out that she needs to get into this contest. So I liked having the 2 different contrasting times of like the way she thought as well, which was really interesting. Yeah, overall very well plot driven book. And now we should talk about like some of the characters and all that. Mia grew really beautifully in this book. Like, I loved her development in the first one, but in this one she really did, like, she grew to become darker and more ruthless, but then again she grew to care more about people. Like all the gladiators, like I'm just gonna call them gladiators because like the words that he used is like too confusing, but all the people that she was fighting with, like she grew to care about them all. And like there was a point at the end of the book that made me really upset where like did a mutiny and then she turned him in and then she had to kill them all, and at this point I was freaking out because I'm like, she's just killing all her friends, like she's letting the darkness take over her. And then you find out that she used a fake knife and they got them all out safely, and I was like like that whole scene, I was like, no, like Mia, how could you do that to your friends? Like, you care about them, even though the whole book she was like, I don't care, like I can't let it happen. But like that whole thing with Mia was, I was really happy about it. Like, even though she's got her 2 familiars, and one of them's really wanting her to be evil and fight, and the other one's really wanting her to like hold back, and the arguments that they would have about this whole idea, like there was even a scene where her 2 familiars, Mr. Kindly and Eclipse, would actually talk about Mia and saying that they thought they gave her too much darkness and took away her fear too much, and it's something that she needs. Like, I love the development that they had in their relationship and how they would flip around their actual thinking as well. But I was just so glad that Mia didn't let all her friends die, but she was ruthless, but then she cried when Maggot died. Like, she has this real hardness about her, and she does do what she needs to get done, but I'm glad that she hasn't gone completely dark in that sense. And I love that they really like went into depth about Mia's sexuality and how she does love men, but she also will love women. Like, the relationship with Mia and Ash, I did love the development of it and how, like, Ash really did like Mia beforehand in the first book, but it's like, they're never gonna go over the fact that she killed Trick, okay? I'm never gonna get over that. Like, Trick was my favourite, and I have mourned him, and I am still upset about it, and I wanted him to be alive and happy, and it's just, we'll get to that later, but, like, seriously, I've thought that I just don't know how she can forgive. Like, she might be able to forgive Ash, but not forget what she did, and it's the same, like, they've both, like, dealt really hard blows to each other, and they've still got these things that they need to talk about and to discuss, and it really is interesting. But, like, I think it's sad that Ash does love Mia, but I don't think Mia loves Ash, and I feel like their relationship was very, like, not abrupt. Like, I sort of, like, it's like, it took me a little while to remember that they did have a kiss in the first book, and they did sort of have the feelings there, but I feel like it did happen a bit abruptly, and I think it needs to be a bit more spaced out. So probably in the next book, if they get back together, that is, because they're apart right now, is there'll be more development. But I did enjoy it, and I thought it was very, very sweet, and it wasn't like fluffy duffy and blah blah blah. Like, they did really do things, and they talked, and they just, you know, had sex and did everything they needed to do. And the same with Mira, she would use her body to get to people when she was killing them. Like, it's just, it's very, like, right in your face, and they don't care, and it's like, I would speak my mind about these things. Mia's character development was very, very well done, and I like that she was able to even more get her skills a lot better with her fighting and everything, so thought that was great. I didn't think Ash would actually be in this book. Like, I didn't think she'd have like a redeeming arc in this book. Like, I still sort of don't trust her, but she did go out of her way to really help Mia, and she is a funny character, but I just can't get past that she killed Trick. Like, that's something, like, I'm always going to be a bit shady about how I feel about her, because she did lead to one of my favourite babies dying, and I'm like, nah, it's wrong. It's wrong. I loved all the gladiatories, and it's funny because one of them's called Bryn, like a female, and that's my father's name, so it's very odd because I've seen 3 Bryns in books I've read, and most of the time they're girls. Like, there was one guy, but it's always like, hey Bryn, there's a girl in my book called Bryn, and he's always like, it's funny. But those twins are actually like one of my favorites. Like, it was so sad when her brother, like, she's Bryn and then her brother's name's like Bryn or something, so it's like they're very similar. But when her brother, like, when the chariots like crashed and he fell and like cracked his head on the thing, and she was like, she got up and she was gonna walk across the like line, and then she saw her brother dead, and she was screaming and crying and trying to get to him, and I'm like, like, that whole thing was probably the most devastating besides Maggot's death, because I was so upset when they all got poisoned, and I'm like, but oh my god, it made me really upset when like all these people died. Like, but literally, like, no one was saved. That's what was so hard, is I was like, I got attached to people, and I'm like, don't feel, conceal, don't feel that shit, Abby. But I'm so just like, oh, I hope they all come back again, because she got about 7 of them out, and like Teardrinker or whatever her name is, the one that had got Mia into this in the first place, is like gonna help them, and I'm like, yes, that's why you're in this book. But I hope they might come back at the end. Like Sidonius, at first I thought he was gonna be really bad and like wanting to rape me and be really rude, and he was awful, and then you really grew to love him. And I love that he like followed her father's army, and he was there to help. And afterwards, he was always really close by to Mia, and she was so like, bitch, get away from me, and I'm like, bitch, she's trying to protect you. So I just, oh, I love them all so much. And like the one that was the singer, and then what is her name, Blade Weaver or something, Sword Weaver or something, like they all have weird names. Like this goddess lady is like, she grabs the babies and she's like, your name's gonna be Barkleaf, and it's like, what? Like, it's meant to be like talk about what you're meant to do in life, and I'm just like, okay, that's a bit odd. But anyway, I think they were all great characters, and they're all funny, and they're all ready to fight together, and I always got so like horrified when like they might have died, but I'm so glad that Mia was able to like get them out and save them, and then she could keep fighting and try to kill all the people. Now, I've just written a little sticky note of stuff to say. So okay, what am I want to talk about? So, what about the fact that, right, so she killed the Chancellor, no, she didn't kill the Chancellor, she killed the priest dude, and then she killed Julius, and I was so freaking out because, right, when Julius had a baby kid with him who was like about 7, and you find out that it's Mia's brother, Jonah or something, Johannes or something, and he doesn't know who Mia is, they're calling him Lucas or something, and I'm like, oh my god, and like the revelation that the dude, Julius, who was like the guy that's been in power for 4 terms and you're only meant to be in 1, here's Mia and Johannes' dad and like the mother, and like, oh my god, that freaked me out so much when you find out that like her father had a male lover, and I was like, oh, and like how the mother and the father are like, they are like friends, like they got married and they have such a great relationship, but they were just never together in like that way because they both had separate lovers and all that. And I was like, like it got me so much, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened. Like I was so shocked at that point where it's like, oh, your father had a male lover, and I was like, what? Yeah, that was one of the moments that truly got me, and I was like, oh my god. And I love it at the end though, how Mia like it was so sad, like she killed them both and she jumped off this ledge with her brother in her arms because like the father just chucked him at her to try and save himself. And then at the end you find out that that was not actually Julius, it was someone in disguise, and the Red Church is trying to help him. Like, oh my god though, the Red Church, how they're like actually just like, they're really ruthless and would kill everyone, and if you pay in the Red Church to kill people, you can't be killed and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh my god. And then when Ashlyn was there and then she blew up the bomb, like I don't think they're going to be dead, but I hope he's dead. And I was really sad like when other people were dying, and at the end when she's running away and then this ghost figure comes in, and it's creeping me out because there was a ghost figure at the beginning of the book that was like trying to tell Mia to do something, and then he comes back again, calls the people after Ash, and then this ghost figure's like, hello Ashlyn, and she's there like, Trick? And I'm like, what? The book just ended, and I'm like, how the hell is he alive? Like, what's going on? He's not Trick as himself though, like his Trick is like some demon thing, and I want to know what's going on and how this works and what. And I have a theory, guys, okay, right, because you know with the book how you've got this wherever it is when I find it, see how you've got like at the beginning you'll have this text of talking about stuff, and then but it's not like actually like me or anything narrating it or like anything, and then you'll have one at the end. And in the first book the narration talks about how Mia dies before the end of the events of all the books, so she's gonna die in the next book, and how it's got birth, life, death as the ideas. My theory is I think that Trick has been narrating this story, okay, because like he's the shadow, like he's a shadow thing now, like he might be a guide, and it, like at the first one the person talks about how the fact like the person narrating talks as if they love me. It needs to happen. Like I seriously think it could be Trick, and if it's not I'm really upset, but it has to be someone close to her who cares about her and like, you know, knows things about her. And it was just really interesting. So all the footnotes I feel is this person narrating. It's not really, it's just like sort of like stopping from a story to explain something to someone, then continuing on with the main story. But I feel like it could have been Trick, you know, like how we get talking about Francis V or something all the time in this story. Mia's the new thing. So this person who has been following her and knowing about all these things and writing it down, I think it's Trick. That's my time of theoriness, but I'm not very good at it, but that's what I really hope. Anyway, guys, I hope you'd enjoy my book review. Like, the last 20 pages literally were just like, what's happening? Who's that? What's going on? I couldn't deal, but I really enjoyed this book so much. I recommend it, and I'm really excited for the third book because it ended literally on Trick. I need to know more. But anyway, guys, I hope you'd enjoy this video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!